with autographs. That's my dad.
All right, let's take what we've been talking about and put them all together with this nice, neat set of completely random data. Well, mostly random. We want to talk about the mean, the median, the mode, and we want to draw a box and whiskers plot that demonstrates the inner quartiles. That's that middle section there, not the upper or the bottom quartile, but the two middle chunks. And again shows that spread to get to the maximum and the minimum for a given set of data. So let's start with our 3 M's, mean, median, and mode. And before I even do that, let's go back one step further and get this data in sequential order. Now the good news is for real applications, there are software packages that do a lot of this work for us. For example, I could type these numbers into a spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet will automatically calculate the mean, median, and mode of the data for me. That's a nice, neat way of using the technology to speed things along. We're going to do it by hand, so we know exactly what that spreadsheet was doing. So let's get these guys in numerical order. So I've got 10, 9, 8, and 8, 7, 6, 5, and 4. So now my data is in numerical order. It makes it a little bit easier to come up with some values from it. Let's start by talking about the mean. It's usually when we lead off and we talk about mean, median, and mode. And so we're going to look here and get the average. If I add these values together, I get 63. There are 7 data points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 data points for an average of 7. So the mean for this collection of data is a 7. Seems not terribly unreasonable for the data set I've been handed. Now let's talk median. So that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 data points. I need the point smack dab in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 4, 6, 8. Yes, right in the middle. So I'll count up 4. There's my middle. Yeah, that took a bit of work, huh? Since the median, the middle value, falls between 2 other values, I have to take their average. So the median in this set of data is going to be 7.5. Not too far from the actual mean, but not quite as impacted by this 4. You can see the bulk of my data is up here at this 10, 9, 8 range. So that's relatively high values. And then these guys kind of pull down my average. So the median is going to be a little bit higher because the actual values are not going to impact it. It's the number of values down here that determine where that median is going to fall. Finally, I have the mode. What numbers appear the most often? Now remember with mode, if multiple values appear as the maximum number of instances, then you have multiple modes. So for example, let me explain. Say this 5 was really a 4. I would then say that the modes would be 8 and 4. Since only one value appears more than once, that's the greatest number of hits, that's going to be my mode, 8. A data set can have a great number of modes. Mode loses some of its punch when you have that situation happening, because no one data point percolates to the top as the most common value. Now that I've got my mean, median, and mode, let's talk about that box and whiskers plot, the visual representation of this data. For that, I'm going to need to have my maximum, my minimum, and my quartiles. Specifically, I want to look at the inner quartiles, the box of the box and whiskers plot. So, we'll break it down like that. When I look then at where these mark points are, they're between values, so I'm going to use the average in order to find out what they are. 8.5 and 5.5. My maximum is 10, and my minimum is 4. So when I draw the box and whiskers plot, there's the box. This inner quartile goes from 8.5 down to 5.5 with a median value at 7.5. Notice that it's fairly close to the front end of the box to represent the fact that it's a fairly tight pack of data up here. My maximum is here at 10. My minimum is down here at 4. Now again, I drew this to show that if I were to mark this off on a number line, 4, and 10. That will be the general even spacing. So I can see this here represents 1.5 units. This represents 1 unit. This represents 2 units. And this would represent, looks like, 1.5 units. Perhaps it's a little longer than it needs to be. Let's tighten that up a little bit. Oop. Let's move that 4 up. And there would be the box and whisker plot to go with this collection of data. The inner quartile here shows me this spread of that middle chunk. That's a measure of center, just as valid visually as the mean, median, and mode are as raw data points.